Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Snapshot, our hands have never moved this fast when we take a look at Mesa's Showdown build. So I've been doing a bit of experimenting with Mesa's build recently, and I have to admit, with the advent of arcane enhancements, I'm definitely seeing her in a new light. One arcane enhancement led to a mod tweak, which led to another mod tweak that caused me to add in another arcane, that circled back to polish it off with another mod. Featuring increased survivability and energy regeneration, Mesa's able to utilize every trick in her book in order to blow away the competition. Now, the premise of this build is highly synergistic and works well against most ranged factions. At its core, it uses Shatter Shield as pseudo-armor for a rage build that fuels the rest of her abilities. Combined with the stuns from Shooting Gallery and health regeneration from an Arcane Grace, she's able to hunker down fairly safely with Rage providing additional energy, and Arcane Avenger supplying bonus critical chance while she channels Peacemaker. Now, quickly, we'll go over some mechanics. Since it's the crux of the build, let's start with Shatter Shield. For those who don't know, with a little bit of power strength, it basically grants Mesa a 95% damage reduction to ranged damage, reflecting back bullets and other projectiles to any enemies within range. This grants her one of the best defensive abilities in game, and allows her to effectively use Rage although she has a very low armor value. And while it doesn't do much against melee targets, it pairs fantastically with Shooting Gallery, which periodically stuns all enemies within range and grants you bonus damage to boot. Both of these aspects work in tandem to not only give Arcane Grace a chance to trigger and give it some breathing room to heal you up, but also helps fuel Peacemaker to make quick work of most standard enemy units. And for anything a bit bigger, hopefully you haven't completely forgotten to charge up your ballistic battery, as it's a great tool to handle the big tools. Now let's take a look at the snapshot. As you can see, I've got 4 Forma on this build, and I needed every inch I could get. I went ahead and added in a V as well as 2 D slots, and then swapped the aura polarity over to a dash. Now this is usually where it would tell you where you could skimp out if you weren't planning on using the Exila slot, but honestly, this is a pricey build as it is, so you might as well just go in balls deep and toss on an adapter. Now, as for the build, you can probably tell we went heavy on both duration and efficiency on this one, as it ensures, regardless of how many Energy Leech or Parasitic Xmas are around, she'll be able to cast her buffs, which, let's face it, is the only reason she's able to utilize a setup, especially since the sole survivability mod we have on is Vitality. Duration and efficiency also aid heavily in reducing the power cost per second on Peacemaker, allowing Mesa to maintain the ability for longer periods, while Rage keeps it fueled for any additional health damage you take. The last little bit is a combination of range mods that help offset some of Narrow-Minded's penalty, because while it doesn't affect the range at which Pacemaker can acquire targets, it does affect Shooting Gallery's stun range, which tends to be a big help, allowing Arcane Grace to make up your current health deficit. Now on to Arcanes, as these are quite important to the build. I'm currently using Arcane Grace as well as Arcane Avenger. Grace is 100% necessary, as it not only helps passively keep your health topped off, allowing you to freely go on a killing spree, but it also gives you something to trigger Rage off of, which will help you fuel the rest of your abilities. And as for Arcane Avenger, I'm only really using it because I have a set and it works well on her. It provides her 30% additive crit, which is a nice boost to Peacemaker as well as the rest of her arsenal. But if you want more survivability, you can toss in a second set of Arcane Grace for even more health regeneration. Now as for a couple quick tips. First off, keep an eye on your buffs at all points in time. You want to make sure that they are always running, as Mesa follows quite closely in the Loki principle. If you haven't disabled your enemies or don't have some form of defensive or evasive ability running, you're pretty much dead. Which is why you should never run Peacemaker if you notice that your buffs are about to run out. Be patient, get refreshed, then whip them out and start unloading. This also happens to be a great dating tip, so keep that in mind. Now, as for Peacemaker, with the recent changes, one of my favorite tips is to position yourself with your back either facing a wall or a corner. That way you have less space to pan in order to acquire targets. In addition, taking damage will alert you as to what direction that damage is coming in. So keep that in mind to improve your efficiency locating your next enemy grouping. Because let's face it, bang bang banging for extended durations can leave you a bit drained and disoriented, and sometimes all it takes is the right tip to help you unload. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Snapshot. If you haven't already caught it, check out my previous episode on Inaros' Arcane Armor build, as well as my new series Return Fire, where I address some of our community's burning questions. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned to watch me shoot all over the place here at A Gay Guy Plays. To me it doesn't. I think you just sound dumb now.
It sounds dirty, god damn it. Erroneous?
Erroneous? No.
It sounds like an erotic term.
It sounds like arugula. Does arugula sound like sexy to you?
It could be.